Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the PHNX Suns podcast. I'm Lindsay. That's Saul. That's Flex. That's Gerald. We love seeing the newcomers and the early faces in the chat. Lucas, hello. Eli, Zach, Chantel. Good to see you guys and happy to have you here with us on this Thursday afternoon to talk about draft picks.
Let's go.
And no, on today's show, it's not F them kids. It's how can these kids help us? We are actually looking at ways to utilize the 22nd pick in this year's draft. You guys, are you so excited?
Yeah.
No?
It's tempered pessimism.
Tempered pessimism?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are you still want to? Oh, so I was
I
just straight up like F them kids.
I don't think James Jones is going to do it.
You don't think
It's not me. It's not me. I'm not the one making the decision.
I
you don't
see
think
what
this
you're
pick
saying.
will see the light of day?
Nope. I don't.
Optimus Flex is excited.
Oh my gosh. But before we dive into some draft prospects, we do have some updates for you guys. So if you were here with us for yesterday's show, you know we said we were going to let the people vote for the biggest draft miss in franchise history. So we put a poll up on our Twitter page over at Lord have mercy, PHNX _Suns. And we said, considering these three things: 1, draft position; 2, who the Suns passed on; and 3, how much they contributed while here, which of these picks was the worst in franchise history? The options were Deandre Ayton, Jalen Smith, Josh Jackson, or other. And DA takes the W on this one with 39.7% of the votes. Josh Jackson comes in second with 31.9%. Jalen Smith with 25.2% and 3.1% saying other. I'm not surprised, I don't think, about the DA thing, although I will say majority of the comments were bringing up exactly what you were talking about yesterday, Saul, with while it is kind of a letdown as far as not having Luka on your team and also not having DA on your team at this point in time, he did contribute while he was here, and that should come into consideration to some extent. But I'm mostly surprised that Josh Jackson got that many of the votes, to be honest with you.
He was top 5 pick, and he was terrible.
I know, but
he didn't have one bona fide thing that you can look at or remember that you were like, oh, yeah.
But I think the reason why
Not a dribble, not a shot. Maybe a dunk. I'll give him a dunk.
He scored 50 against the Rockets.
But it was the fact that everyone, I think, around
50
Josh
against the
Jackson had
Rockets.
higher expectations for him. It wasn't like a Jalen Smith where it was like a who? Hold on, what? Who are we taking?
Yeah.
I think collectively the NBA community was like, yeah, Josh Jackson's pretty good.
The fact that other only got 3% is also mind-boggling. Like, nobody thinks that Dragan Bender was the worst. Nobody thinks Marquise Chris was the worst. Nobody. Man, that's wild.
I looked at the poll. I do not agree that DeAndre Ayton should be number 1, but we talked about it, right? I mean, I'm leaning with Jalen Smith. Again, context. If you're looking at the fact that you took DA and you're gonna bring Luka into the mix, of course, Luka's gonna. For my money, Luka could stop playing right now, and he's a top 5, 10 guy I've ever seen in my life. So Luka's that good. So yeah, you took DeAndre, didn't take Luka. That sucks. But that team was nowhere near close to winning. It was going to take some time anyway. Even if we had drafted Luka, it was going to take some time. For me, the Jalen Smith one hurts more because when you're making that 10th pick, you're not realizing you're getting a free shot at adding a top 10 pick to a team that was going to the championship. And if you take Tyrese Halliburton and you got him on the bench behind Chris Paul and working with campaign, there's an argument to be made that you probably win a championship. or you come closer to winning a championship. So for that reason, I think the biggest whiff is Jalen Smith and not getting an All-NBA, All-Star, max player in Tyrese Halliburton, adding him for free onto a built championship contender.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why we differentiated between franchise-altering mistakes and draft busts, because there is a difference. And I was kind of surprised with the outcome of the poll because the way it was phrased was draft bust. DA wasn't a draft bust, but he was the biggest misfire.
Yes.
When you look at who was taken after him. That was my argument the whole time. Like, Jalen Smith, you could argue, was the biggest draft bust considering who you passed on and all this other stuff. Dragan Bender, Marquise Chris, those are the guys you would look at as draft busts. But in terms of misfires, mistakes in the draft, like, DA is still always going to be number one, and the poll backed that up despite the phrasing not being accurate.
But that's the thing is, like, that's, I mean, this is all I'm going to say. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I will say this. The comments did not, though. Like, the comments did not. Like,
right, but there were 2,000 plus people that
I
voted.
don't care. I don't care. What I'm going to say is this. When you're talking about a misfire, if we want to get technical, a misfire, at the point in time of the decision, it was not a clear, obvious fact that Deandre Ayton or Luka are better than the other one, right? It wasn't clear and obvious. It might have been to you, Gerald. Congratulations. But it wasn't to everybody, okay? Nobody heard about Jalen Smith. Nobody. And everybody was talking about Tyrese Halliburton. So you talk about not only a misfire, like, you weren't even, it wasn't even like the Suns were deciding between two players and they got the wrong one drafted. No. Nobody had ever heard of Jalen Smith. They didn't even know he was on the radar. He wasn't even in the top 20 or 25 or 30 of most mock drafts that year. Nobody. So we talk about misfire. You took somebody completely off the board, off the grid, off the landscape because you thought you knew better than everybody else. That's a gross misfire.
But that happened at number 10. Again, that happens at number 10.
But you passed up another superb talent.
Tyrese Halliburton wasn't. People weren't coming into the draft thinking Tyrese Halliburton's going to be a star. They thought he'd be good, but they didn't think he'd be a star. Luka, people thought he'd be a star. DA, people thought he would be a star too.
But nobody thought Jalen Smith would be a star.
Nobody.
But again, pick 10, pick one. You've only had one in 50 plus years. Pretty big mistake.
Again, I'm not saying that DA wasn't the wrong pick. I'm just saying that he wasn't the biggest misfire. That's it.
That's fair.
Comprehension is pretty difficult, I guess, for some people.
We can agree to disagree.
See, this is the hard part with these tiers is there's a lot of, like, splitting hairs when it comes to how we all discuss and, like, what we think each category and how they kind of whatever.
Yeah, DeAndre, biggest draft misfire, I always lean towards draft bust. DeAndre is not a draft bust.
No.
DeAndre Ayton is a max basketball player who did some really good things, who we'd be having an entirely different conversation if the Phoenix Suns would have found a way to win just 2 more games in that finals. Right? We talked about it. If you win that championship, it justifies the pick a little bit more. He came 2 games short. I am not going to argue that Luka Doncic is the right pick.
So Colin in the chat said, I see today that Gerald and Saul have been separated. I think that's for the best.
I got nothing to say.
It was honestly not intentional. It just happened to work that Espo was not scheduled for today's show and Gerald was just going to sit in that seat. But it was not intentional.
We can agree to disagree, and we often do. It's fine.
But you guys voted. I think there is just a very small amount of time left on that vote, that poll. There's 2 hours left as of 3:08 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. If you do want to have your voice heard in the vote, head on over there. Again, that's on Twitter at PHNX_Suns. So we do have one super chat. Saint Shitbag, thank you so much for your super chat. They said James Jones must have drank a few too many Four Peaks beers when he picked Jalen Smith. I mean, listen, when the beer is as good as it is, I get it. It's tough not to. You know what I'm saying?
Actual beer goggles.
Uh-oh.
Jalen Smith had goggles.
We did get some NBA-related news today. Woj tweeted out that the Los Angeles Lakers are targeting Connecticut's Dan Hurley to become the franchise's next coach and are preparing a massive long-term contract offer to bring the back-to-back national champion to the NBA, sources tell ESPN. When you saw this Woj tweet come across your timeline, how did it make you feel?
I think maybe Sham should have been on top of the misfires. I mean, Jesus, if that's true, then man, Shams is way off. Like, Reddick had been in the rumors for a while. I get it. this came out of left field. Nobody, I don't think any of us heard it. Have you? Did you guys didn't hear it, right? Like I didn't hear it, and I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning. I saw it. I was like, "What the hell?"
Well, yeah, that broke at like 4 in the morning.
Yeah, it was
too.
crazy. Yeah, and I purposely texted you guys all at 6 o'clock in the morning because I was awake. I was like, "Fuck it."
I have our group chat muted at night.
I
It's
saw it
okay.
at 9 when I woke up.
Yeah, so it was. It's crazy, and it has ripple effects if it does happen. And I don't even know. Like I know a lot of people were like, it doesn't necessarily mean LeBron is on his way out, and it doesn't mean that he's staying in LA. I think it's kind of neutral. I think the Lakers would be smart to hire somebody like Dan Hurley because they got to get prepared just in case. And LeBron's not going to be there forever, so you might as well start to develop things and get your program right without him. And if he's there, that's cool. If he's not, then he's not. So I kind of agree with this decision if it does go through.
This is why I keep hearing people say, as soon as Dan Hurley news came out, oh, Bron's leaving, Bron's saying, I'm like, this got nothing to do with Bron. Like, if you give Dan Hurley a 10-year, $100 million contract, he's coaching LeBron for 2 of those 10 years. Like, if he stays. You know what I mean? So this has nothing to do with LeBron James. This is actually a fantastic move by the Lakers. This is them thinking down the road. We have a younger Anthony Davis. We got to find a coach that fits him better. And I also think, honestly, the news portion of it happens. Sham said this, things change. I have been in that position where I've heard something that is real, and then the next day some shit comes out of left field and everybody attacks you and say, oh, you were wrong. You see, in this business, things are changing. Right now, this shit changing. When I get off this show, I'll hear something else. So I get that part of it. I will say this, though. He's a great coach. The Lakers are doing their due diligence by looking into this, but I got a funny feeling that this is more about leverage. I think this is Dan Hurley understanding he's in a current contract negotiation with UConn. He's only making $5 million a year. He's coming off of 2 national championships, and he's got Bill Self making almost 10. You got Calipari, who just signed with Arkansas, making like 8, and he's making 5, and he's grossly underpaid. So I would not be shocked if you hear UConn and them agree to a new deal that gets him closer to that number, and you flush all this down the toilet. But who knows?
That would be interesting because I don't know if I can believe head coaching news yet until I hear that it's been finalized now because of what happened before. But no, I think there's 2 ways you can look at it. I think for the Lakers, it's a forward-thinking hire because Dan Hurley is a great coach. He obviously proved that with UConn the last 2 years. But he's also kind of a guy that is going to come in and not take any shit. Like he's very adamant, very lively, very in your face about setting a standard and a culture. And so you already saw the jokes on Twitter about, how that's going to go with a guy like LeBron, who's been around the block for a while. I do think it's a good hire with or without LeBron, because with him, you need someone who's going to get everybody else into line. And without him, you need to start thinking about draft picks and future and building the next chapter. And as we've seen with Dan Hurley at UConn, like he's very good at developing talent. But it is kind of interesting to see how the LeBron stuff plays into it. And I think we have a tweet here. People are already kind of trying to connect dots because JJ Redick, when he had Dan Hurley on the show on his podcast, LeBron James responded to it and said, he's so damn good along with his staff, super created with their love it. Kind of crazy that this is an interaction between the star of the Lakers and the 2 head coaching candidates.
Both of them, right?
That's kind of wild, but
it just happened back in April.
Yeah,
like how time flies.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting, but yes, I agree with you guys. I don't think it means one thing or another about LeBron's future. I just think they are kind of covering their bases potentially with a good coach that can also help them down the line if LeBron does leave.
Right.
So we did have a question in the chat from, now I can't find it. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you your name when I figure it out later. But they asked if we were upset that maybe the Suns didn't try to go down this avenue with Hurley, or that we didn't get him. Is there any?
No.
Feeling Champs 4.
I don't think there was a
I think
single
it was
person
Champs
out
4.
there. I would love if anybody could pull up a tweet. Hey, DM me on Instagram and we'll pull it up on the show. If anybody that said Danny Hurley should be in consideration for the Suns, it definitely was not on our radar. So it's hard to be mad at something that you didn't know.
But now that you know that it could have been an option, would you have liked the Suns to explore? I don't think they're asking in the sense that like, how come nobody even gave this a thought? It's more like, we didn't think it was a thought, but since it is potentially an option, are you upset that the Suns maybe didn't explore that?
No.
Not really. I can't imagine Danny Hurley yelling at KD or Book or Beal or anybody really. Like, I don't know how that would go, but
oh my God.
that would be crazy to witness. But no, I think you need a more experienced hand if you're a team like the Suns. You need someone who has won a title. You need someone who's regularly won 50 to 60 games, who's implemented a culture, all that stuff. So I really like the Bud hire, considering, you know, that you needed a new head coach. I thought he was probably the best guy available.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. We do have a super chat that we have to make up from yesterday. I absolutely forgot it. Buddha the Schizo. Very sorry about that one. But yesterday, Buddha sent us a super chat and they said, if we had drafted Luka, would he still be a hoe?
No.
That's the question.
He would be our hoe.
He would be ours. And that's all that matters. But that came during a Suns Mavs game, right?
What?
The tweet. Didn't it come
Luka
during a
hoe?
Suns Mavs game?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure it came during one of our games or right after
No,
one of
yeah,
our
it was
games.
it was one of our games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think he would still be a hoe because it would have never happened if
Well,
he was
it
on
was-
the Suns team.
It was Lil Wayne, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have happened.
Probably not.
I don't know.
You say that now. But if he replaced Devin Booker, there'd be a lot of people that'd be like, man, he's a hoe.
Maybe, but that one specific tweet from Lil Wayne, I don't know if we would have gotten that one, which it would have been a little sad, to be completely honest with you. 'Cause
Freaking Espo.
Espo.
what did he
He
say?
said we would have put a ring on that hoe.
Oh, no.
You ain't a hoe no mo.
That she ain't though.
Psycho Blue
Yeah.
sent us a super chat as well. They said Basketball Cthulhu doesn't think finding Nurk's replacement will matter much if the backup center is still Eubanks. I feel bad saying it like that, Eric.
Yeah, I know.
um,
They do need to upgrade the center rotation. I'll say that.
yeah. We'll get into some options here in just a minute, but I do want to remind you guys our PHNX Mercury takeover, the first one, is happening next week on June 13th. It's going to be an absolute blast. It is presented by Circle K, and you get a lower level ticket as well as pregame festivities, including food and drinks with your ticket to the takeover. You can get your hands on these over at gophnx.com. If you are a diehard, you get a discount on the takeover tickets as well. So now is a great time to become a diehard if you are not already one. We also have another one happening later on in the summer. We've got a lot of really cool events going on with PHNX over the next couple of months, including the PHNX Cardinals trip to Miami. Now that's going to be happening in October the 25th through the 28th. That'll be a blast. And thanks to our friends over at True Fan Travel, you're going to get hooked up with top-notch amenities for the best price possible. Again, all the information can be found at gophnx.com. And in 2 weeks, on June 20th, you're going to want to put this in your calendar now. It's trivia night out at Chicken and Pickle. It's happening from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. PHNX will be hosting a trivia night with our friends over at Chicken and Pickle, and a pickleball tournament in July. So also stay tuned for more information on that one. If you have not been out to Chicken and Pickle yet, though, you are absolutely missing out. It's an indoor-outdoor entertainment complex. It includes pickleball. They've got outdoor lawn games, great food, great drinks, amazing vibes. It's so much bigger than I thought it was. We went there for a Suns watch party, the first game of the playoffs this year. And then we were just back out there a few weeks ago just for a little team outing to play some pickleball.
Yeah.
Honestly, coming from somebody who likes to just kind of relax and hang out when I go out, Chicken and Pickle is the best of both worlds because you can do that and feel right at home, or you can show up in like your biggest pickleball getup with your own pickleball paddle, ready to just go ham on some people, and you'd fit right into.
Go ham on some pickles.
Yes.
Little
I'm
cheese
just
got a
saying, it's
sandwich.
the best of both worlds because whether you just want to relax and learn how to play pickleball and just be a little casual, they have nights where it's for newbies, or you can get an entire squad out there and you can have some really elite competitions, or you can just hang out and drink some beer.
Yeah.
Which is what Petey did at our outing. And
Yeah.
I was like, Petey, you're doing life right. But Chicken and Pickle is absolutely a fantastic location. So head to chickenandpickle.com to see all the fun that you can have at their Glendale location.
It is sports trivia, by the way.
Sports trivia?
Sports trivia?
Okay.
So you guys would be perfect for it.
That'll be
So
fun.
sign up for that. Again, June 20th. Also, if you need $200 to go spend at Chicken and Pickle, our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union want to hook you up. Right now, when you open a free checking account online, you're going to get $200 in bonuses. You can get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. But we love our friends over at Desert Financial because they've been one of Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit unions for many years. They're dedicated to creating exceptional experiences for their customers by providing financial solutions that make lives better. And they're really active in our community as well. And we absolutely love a company that gives back to the community that also supports them, right? It's a win-win all around. But Desert Financial has more than just checking accounts. They've got savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. So once again, don't leave your $200 in bonuses on the table. Open a free checking account online and get your bonuses today. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200.
Champ04 asks, do you guys do anything on the east side of town? We do.
Yeah.
I know we've been kind of a little west side focused of late, but we will be doing other things on the east side, I promise. So stay tuned.
East side.
Isn't
Hey man, East Side's the best side.
outrageous?
Go ahead, Lynn.
We were
Coast,
out there a
West
lot
Coast.
this year for our watch parties.
Yeah.
Is that considered the east side, or is that just like
I don't know if
south
that's
and
really,
west?
I mean, it's, I don't know.
East of downtown Phoenix.
Yeah.
It's the east side to me.
It's not to, Lindsay,
What?
fucking
Your east
Christ.
side is
like,
like
2 blocks
21st.
east of your house is the east side to you.
No, I feel like if
No,
you
this
if you're
is- if
out,
you've-
if you're east
you
of
know
downtown, that's
exactly
the east
what
side.
it is.
I'm on the east side. I live on the east side, right?
Yeah,
Is that
you
the
are true east
You
side.
guys are
East
the
side,
far
right?
east side.
Live on the east side of the state.
Yeah,
East side,
you
baby?
guys literally basically live in New Mexico at this point.
Damn.
To you, yes.
Yeah, so everybody.
505.
Yeah, when we moved
Yeah,
1 mile
505.
down the street from one office to another,
Mhm.
Lindsay was like, "Oh my God, you guys moved so far."
They did.
Meanwhile, everybody else has got like half-hour commutes. She's got 3 minutes. Like, stop. I'm not even trying to hear it.
More than 3 minutes. Thank you so much.
Oh, my bad.
7.
It's 7.
That's right, actually.
Damn, you're 7 minutes away?
Yes.
Just
Oh,
kidding.
boy.
I'm more than 7 minutes away. But anyway, let's talk draft targets for the Phoenix Suns
When our
with their
lease is up, I'm signing a
22nd
deal out
pick
East.
in the 2024 NBA draft. Big edition. That's right. We're going to be looking at bigs. Also, just so you guys know, as usual, there is an article that is accompanying this conversation over at gophnx.com that Gerald put together with a lot of extra information. So once the show is over, make sure you head on over there and give that article a read. You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
Prospect number 1, Zach Edey out of Purdue. He is 7'4" with a 7'11" wingspan. He averaged 25.2 points per game, 12.2 rebounds, 2.2 blocks, 2 assists, shooting 62.3% from the field. A lot of people are really high on Zach Edey, 2-time National Player of the Year, 2-time Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Award winner, 2-time first team All-American. How you guys feeling about Zach Edey?
I mean, at 22, if he dropped to 22, I think it's definitely worth a flyer on him. I do. I think size-wise, he's there. He can score around the basket. He's good around the basket. He's efficient around the basket, obviously. Can shoot free throws, so there's no hack-a-shack thing going on with him towards the end of the games. He can block shots. Now, he's going to be limited on the perimeter, especially defensively. Like, that's just not going to be a thing that you're looking for him to be excellent at. But, you know, listen, you got Nurk, who's also not great defensively on the perimeter. You can work around things like this. And if he's dominant enough on the offensive side of the ball, then, you know, guess what the other team's going to have to do? They're going to have to try and figure out how to match up with him too.
Mm-hmm.
And so perimeter-based, yeah, it might hurt, but down low, he might be able to do some damage. He's the old school big. And, you know, in the league where they're trying to phase that kind of person out, he's one of the ones where you're like, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by him. I mean, he's a heck of a basketball player, man. I just don't think the time is matching up right. I think he's just playing basketball in the wrong generation.
Yeah.
Like if Zach Edey was playing ball 25 years ago, I mean, all-star type dude.
First round pick, first pick.
Yeah, first pick. Sean Bradley type stuff, right? Better than Sean Bradley. But no, this kid can play. He can shoot. You could see him in the combine. He was letting it go from three. He's got a nice stroke, good mechanics, shoot free throws. You can't play him off the court. Defensively, you're going to have some liabilities. But I just don't know that with this team, the way we're constructed, the way we're trying to play, with Budenholzer, more three-pointers, and the mid-range mafia that we got going on, I think if you took him, you'd be taking away most of his opportunities to really make an impact offensively. So for that reason, I pass, but I'm not saying he's not a good basketball player.
He'd have been perfect on last year's team.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they were just
different squad, yes.
Slow the ball down.
Yep. Last year's squad, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the defensive mobility thing is the concern. I do think he's actually a little bit quicker than people realize. I was looking up this stat that someone had posted on Twitter, and it's true. Like, of the 66 players that were 260 pounds or heavier that did like the lane agility drills at the combine, he had the 6th and the 9th fastest lane agility times, and nobody in the top 10 was within 20 pounds of Edey in terms of their weight. So I'm not sitting here saying he's actually really quick. He's not, but he's deceptively fast for his size. And again, like 7'11" wingspan is just terrifying.
Insane.
So I do think he might be able to fare a little bit better defensively than maybe people think, but like, he is offensively that traditional back to the basket big, and that kind of amounts you to more of a situational role player than like a true starting center. I think, to your point, like, if he falls to 22, you really have to think about him, because this was the most dominant dude in college basketball, one of the more dominant college basketball players we've ever seen. Like, and he gets to the line a ton just because he's so much bigger than everybody. I think he was 11 attempts per game.
Yeah. He also got that Purdue whistle.
Yeah, well, he did, but we don't have to talk about that. But he made 82% of his shots at the rim.
Yeah,
which is stupid.
insane.
Yeah.
Like, he's very good. If he falls to 22, you got to think about him. But to your guys' point, I do think there are bigs that have skill sets that more fit what the Suns need out of a backup big, namely like athleticism, rim running, lob threat, defense, that type of stuff.
One of the things that I think a lot of people have talked about him is the 3-point shooting, right? And he is very insistent that it will be a part of his game in the NBA.
I believe it too.
Some people question, so that's the question. Are you feeling good about him being able to implement that into his game at the NBA level?
I do. Free throw numbers usually indicate you can shoot the three ball. He can shoot free throws. And then again, watching extensive tape on him and really locking in on the combine stuff, you could see he's got a natural jumper. It's pretty clean. The mechanics are there. I can so see him coming into the league and actually being a pretty damn good 3-point shooter. When he, it's just gonna depend on how many you're gonna allow him to put up. If he's got freedom with a team, yeah, I can see it. I think he can shoot the ball.
I think he's got a ways to prove it, but the stroke at the combine looked good.
Yeah,
like I don't think it'll be there in year 1 or maybe even year 2, but it could be a situation where a couple years into his career, suddenly dude steps back and hits a 3, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then if he's on our team, we're really excited because it's like, oh shit, there it is.
Yep.
Lucas in the chat said, leave a like for Steve Nash. Absolutely, Lucas. Hit that thumbs up button if you are here with us on YouTube. We appreciate you guys. Next up, we're going to talk about Kyle Filipowski out of Duke. He is 6'11" with a 6'10" wingspan, averaged 16.4 points per game, 8.3 rebounds, 1.5 blocks, 1.1 steals, shot 50.5% from the field. How are we feeling about Kyle? The first thing that jumps out is the shorter wingspan than height.
By an inch,
I know that's not like the end all be all to all of this conversation, but just it's not normal.
He's a good player. I have mixed feelings on him. I don't know if he's gonna be able to contribute in year 1 as much as you would like for this player to contribute. What I'm saying is I think there's other players, because of their position and skill set, that will be able to immediately contribute at a higher level than Filipowski, because he's not really, I mean, you could say he's a center, but he's but he's not really a center. He didn't really play that position much in college. He played like kind of a big power forward position. He could shoot the ball. Like he's a decent player, but I'm not sold on him.
I hope I'm wrong on this because, again, watching the film, he's an extremely talented basketball player. Very talented, can do a lot of things really well. I don't know.
Foul trouble a lot.
He does.
Dumb shit out there
He
sometimes.
does. He's got some. He's a really good basketball player. I don't know that he does anything great, but he does a lot of things well. This is a guy that and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but in the exercise we're doing today, this is the guy I least want us to pick.
Okay.
Not because I don't respect him as a basketball player,
Right.
just because I don't think he moves the needle with the skill set that he brings to the table. Absolutely, unequivocally, not what we're looking for.
Right.
So that's me. But again, I respect the player.
We need athleticism.
We do.
And
Yes,
this guy
he's not
is
that.
not athletic.
Yeah, this is like Frank.
Yeah,
Not
it
disrespect,
is.
but this is like Frank
It
Kaminsky
is.
type pick too.
Right. So he is that kind of offensive connector because he can handle the ball, he can pass, he can shoot. Like you said, he's not a rim running, lob threat kind of big, not that athletic guy. His NBA comps, based on all the different mock drafts that I've been reading, Kelly Olynyk, Lauri Markkanen, Zach Collins. I think for him, the 3-point shot is what he's going to need to prove because he's got a really nice looking release. He's got very good touch, but he only shot like 34.8% from three. So that's something that he's going to have to up those percentages to be an actual stretch big. But he is a guy that created more than half of his looks at the rim on his own. You see him do some of the crossover moves that he has and the step back dribbles and his ability to get in the paint. He can really handle the rock. So he's a guy that you can kind of plug and play in multiple spots on the floor in handoffs or screens or that type of stuff. But you're right. For this particular team, you don't need another necessarily ball handling big. You need someone that's going to set hard screens, roll, and provide some gravity on that type of stuff.
Yeah.
This one doesn't seem to be a big hit with the chat either. Michael said not lively enough. Lonnie said, I'm going to pass on Kyle Rodrigo with the hard pass.
Dagoon's asking about point guards.
Today we're just talking about big.
Big.
Don't
Just
worry,
big
Dagoon.
today. We got
Just
a
big
lot of
today.
time to kill before the draft. We're going by
Yeah.
position.
We will.
guys.
We're going to go position by position.
We're going to talk about athletic trainers by the end.
We might.
Oh,
you never know.
shit.
Don't
I'm
tempt
just
me
kidding.
with
We're not gonna
1,000 words.
Dear God. Joe. An absolute mess. And Lucky said, Kyle not required. We have Bol. So there you go. So sorry, Kyle Filipowski, but you don't get to be in our inner circle. However, I will say, I feel like his name is super dope and we could have a lot of fun with some things.
Give me an example.
Like if you just shorten the two of them, Kapowski.
Like if he
could be like a
dunks it,
tagline.
Filipowski.
Yeah.
Like Kelly Kapowski?
I mean, I guess, but I wasn't thinking Kelly. It was more like a mix of Kyle and Filipowski, and you just said Kapowski.
I thought Kelly Kapowski.
Kelly Kapowski.
Okay,
was
She was
Well,
a bomb. She was the bomb. Yeah.
That makes sense.
She was a baddie.
for you
She
too.
was a baddie,
It makes
yeah.
a lot of sense. Either which way. Didn't
Makes sense for a
expect
lot
that
of people.
conversation going that way.
I'm sure
Circle
my age, I don't
K,
care.
Inner Circle is a great place to be. Their free membership program, and they want to hook you up with all the goodies this summer. First and foremost, when you sign up for their free membership program, you're going to save 25 cents per gallon. On your first 5 fill-ups, you save 3 cents per gallon every single day. They also want to remind you that now through September 3rd at any Arizona location, you can get a Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents. But if you are an Inner Circle member, you can get that for just 69 cents. You can
Nice.
enjoy your member exclusive beverage deal.
Yeah.
All you have to do is find it in the app under Inner Circle and offers. Inner Circle also has a bunch of other discounts and coupons that are always being updated in the app. So it is a great time to join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details.
Man, I tell you what, all I want to do is after this show, oh man, I got outside shots after this show.
You do.
Damn it.
What about after outside
But
shots?
after outside shots, I'm going to watch the NBA Finals, but I'm going to take me a little gummy and just vibe out, have a good time. You should do the same thing. Go to OG's Brands. It is the best edible in the game. You can't go wrong with it. Go to ogsbrands.com. You're going to find the closest dispensary. They are all over the valley. You can't miss it. Go into a dispensary, get yourself some RSOs, get yourself a little indica or sativa, depending on your mood. And then also maybe even try some of the vegan gummies because they're all fantastic. The clementine flavor is fantastic. So you can't go wrong. ogsbrands.com. Check it out today. And remember, you must be over the age of 21 and you must enjoy responsibly.
All right, next up on our list, we're going to talk about Durant Holmes II out of Dayton. He is 6'10" with a 7-foot wingspan, averaged 20.4 points per game, 8.3 rebounds, 2.1 blocks, 2.6 assists, shooting 54.4% from the field. He's a local kid from Goodyear, Arizona. He's a little bit older than some of the others in the draft class at 21, and he is athletic. How are we feeling about Durant?
He's a good player. Not quite the elevate kind of dude that you were kind of hoping to get in the draft, but he has a good all-around game. He is athletic. Don't get me wrong. He's not unathletic. But he's a good, solid player. I will say that. I do like him more than Filipowski, who's also a good all-around player, but athletically, Durant is just in a much different category. And he can handle the ball. He can shoot from the perimeter as well. He really developed his outside shot over the last couple of years at Dayton. And again, local product. His brother is actually pretty good too.
This my guy. Yeah. This is my guy. I've watched so much tape on this kid. I've been fascinated with this guy. Me and G had a talk before the show. This is my number one guy on this whole exercise today. Okay. This guy's intrigued.
This is your number one?
This is my number one guy. This is the guy that I think, I'm telling you, okay. This guy can handle the rock. He can shoot the basketball. He uses his three-point shot as an actual weapon, not something that you have to prove that you can do. That's the difference to me. A lot of these bigs are proving, hey, I can keep you honest and make this shot. This guy's saying, come out here. You don't come, I'll make this shot. And if you come close enough, I'll pump fake drive and bang on your ass. So he's super athletic. Like I said, his spin moves around the basket are really good. He's got a soft touch. His midi is pretty nice. And here's the thing. He plays defense. You want a guy that's going to play defense out on the island against guards, against perimeters that can go out there and clamp and switch? This is the guy. This guy can move like a guard. He's 6'10" with a 7-foot wingspan, but moves like a guard. And so when I look at what the Suns are looking for, and I look at all these bigs, and I've been looking at the tape for quite some time now, this is a guy that I think fits the most. He got to put a little bit of weight on. But once he gets into an NBA program and they get some weight on him, some of the skills he brings to the table are very unique. So this is my guy.
Yeah, I waffled between putting him at number 3 and number 2 on my list because it's really close. I wound up going with the guy we'll talk about next at number 2, but he's the one knock against him is that he played in the Atlantic 10 conference. Yeah. So he didn't see the same caliber of competition. But I mean, a guy that put up those numbers was able to knock down threes and shoot pretty decent volume for the college game. The fact that he took about half of his shots at the rim and made 74% of them, despite being a little bit undersized for a center at 6'10", is really good. And he was only assisted on about 57% of his baskets at the rim. So a lot of it is, like you said, his ability to put the ball on the floor, to create, and especially to work out of the short roll, which is one thing that the Suns would like their center to be able to do when sharing the court with the big three, because those guys are going to get double teamed. You need an outlet that can make a play, that can pick and pop, that can attack the basket or spray it out to open shooters. He showed that he can do all of those things at Dayton. And he's a really great screener too. So the one thing for me, he's very active blocking shots, but he's going to need to prove at the next level that he can defend at the level, because watching some of his defensive film, it felt like he was able to use his athleticism and length to kind of recover. And at the next level, you're not going to be able to do that. So your footwork, where you're positioned, is going to have to be better. But you could say that for most rookies. And I do think, I was watching some of his film and I was like, holy shit, this dude looks really confident with a lot of the stuff that he's doing out there. So he's high up the board for me in terms of big men, for sure.
The good thing about him is he really you could tell he really developed his game over the last couple of years
Mm-hmm.
and progressively got better at each category as the years went on. And this year he had his best year. He was a really good player, really good player. Don't get me wrong. But these next two, to me, if they were somehow to fall to 22, you just can't pass it.
And to your point, real quick, Holmes did get a promise, we're assuming, because he canceled some draft workouts with other teams. So people are assuming that he got a draft promise from some team in the latter half of the first round. Most people are kind of pointing to the Nuggets at number 28, which is kind of where his draft range is right now. So it might be a little bit of a reach if the Suns took him at 22, but maybe the Suns are that team. So who knows?
Maybe. And they also have all the potential in the world to move up or down a couple spots as well within this draft. That's not outside of the realm of possibility. But I will say he is kind of in the sense of that he is 21 years old. That's kind of right up JJ's alley. He
Turns
likes
22
a
in
little
August.
bit of the older
Leo
draft
too. Shout out, baby.
prospects. You know what I'm saying? And that can bring some maturity and a little bit different mindset as a rookie coming into the NBA. So, all right, next up, we've got Khalil Ware out of Indiana. He is 7 foot with a 7'5" wingspan. Averaged 15.9 points per game, 9.9 rebounds, 1.9 blocks, 1.5 assists, shooting 58.6% from the field. Now, Ware is interesting because he is quite literally all over the place. When you look at any sort of big board or where he might fall in this draft, people have him as high as 9th overall this year or all the way down into the 30s. So this one is real interesting. You don't normally see that much of a gap.
So to me, he's my favorite prospect because I could easily see if there was a guy that the Suns felt really strongly about to trade up and get, it would be this guy.
Okay.
Just in case, you don't know how other teams feel about him. But, man, Ware is really good. He's raw. He's raw. But you see the signs of his ability to score at a high level. Athletically, he can definitely hold up, and he's still young, super young, so he's still going to be able to grow into his body, get stronger, get a little bit more athletic, get a little bit more on that vertical. But it's not that excites me. It's the fact that you can see the natural ability in his game when he touches the ball. He's had a couple spin moves this season where it just looked like he was in full control of his body as opposed to just doing a spin move to do a spin move, right? There was times this season where he knew exactly when he was supposed to cut. He could read the defense, make that backdoor cut, get easy lobs, easy dunks. And I really like his game, and he's developing that outside shot. That 3-point shot, listen, the form is there. He's got good form. He can hit that perimeter shot. It's a project to a certain degree, but if you're looking at Derek Lively plus, he can elevate, get the ball at the rim. If that's all you need in the short term, cool. And then you develop him and the other parts of his game as other players start to move away from this team and he gets more opportunities. So to me, he's my favorite prospect of the 5.
Okay. So don't be mad at me, bro. Don't be mad. I'm giving you fair warning.
I'm not their agent. I'm not their
fair
manager.
warning,
I'm not
Mr.
getting money
Bookman.
if they get drafted by the Suns. I do not care.
All right, so no, this is my number 2 on the list. I love Khalil Ware. A lot to like in his game. A lot of what Saul said. Athletic. He can put pressure on the rim. He shows you signs of the shot coming around. Mechanics aren't terrible. Defensively, he does some things. He's number 2 on my list. He's got a 7'5" wingspan. When you see that type of differential with wingspan and some of the things he's done on tape, everything screams potential. Maybe the best potential in the draft. Here's my problem with Khalil Ware. Reminds me too fucking much of Deandre Ayton. That's what it comes down to. Reminds me too much of Deandre Ayton. A lot of the things that he has to get better at was the same shit we said Deandre Ayton had to get better at. And when I look at his film, he has a little bit of a motor issue. Not sure if he brings it every play on every game. And quite frankly, if we're going to go draft a DeAndre Ayton clone, should have just kept fucking DeAndre Ayton. So that's my problem with this pick. That's why I said don't kill me. I'm kind of criticizing this pick based on some previous stuff.
So,
but at 22, real quick, at 22, though, all right, if you don't have that guy that you are without a doubt like, yes, he can help us right now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm running to the
Like-
board. If he's there at 22, I'm
Like,
running to the
yeah,
board.
you
But
don't
not
even-
if
you don't even
Holmes is
hesitate.
there.
Okay.
That's
So-
my
Wait,
my
you would
opinion.
take- you
I'm
would take
taking
Holmes
Holmes
over?
ahead of him. Yes.
Why?
Yes, I just think he's a better basketball player.
I low-key
I-
almost put Holmes over Ware just because I think Holmes you can plug and play now and he still has room to grow. I think Ware has a higher ceiling, a higher potential for sure.
Correct.
But I think it's going to, like you said, I think he and the next guy are more of projects that you're going to need to be more patient with. I do think Ware, in terms of the lob threat that he provides, would be a really nice fit theoretically with the big three because dude's athletic as hell. He's a 7-footer. He's one of the best rim running bigs in this
and you're not
entire
getting
draft.
that with Holmes.
Right. You're not getting a lob threat, no.
I mean, he can. Well,
Not to that degree.
not-
to that degree.
he's a
Not
better
that,
lob.
Not that easy springy bounce to
Yes,
get up
yeah.
high.
And that's the 7'5" wingspan
Yeah,
too.
Durant can run and get up
And
there.
get up there, yeah.
But it's not the same as just being
You're right.
flat-footed and jump.
Where's a better lob threat?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I do think there are questions like there's the motor and the effort and focus question mark with him. There's also whether the shot holds up because like Saul said, it is developing.
That's my
He
problem.
shot a very good percentage. He shot 42.5%, but it was only on one attempt per game basically. He also, it was a big jump from the 27% he shot the year before at Oregon, and he only made 63% of his free throws last year, which is usually for big men a good indicator of shooting ability. I'm not saying it's impossible by any stretch because he just turned 20 in April, so he's a young prospect for sure. But he is a guy that is going to take a little bit more time to develop, so the Suns would have to be more on the patient side with a pick like this.
So with how all over the place he is right now on draft boards across the league, where do you guys envision him actually going? What would your guess be at this point in time? We've got from 9 to early 30s, so somewhere between 9 and 35. If you had to pick a number right now,
I got him
Where would you
between
put it?
18 and 22.
okay?
18 and 22, 23. I don't think he passes 23.
I'd probably say 14 to 23. That would probably be
14
my
to
range.
23?
NBA teams love potential.
They do.
They
They
do.
love
They
it.
do.
I can't see
Yeah.
him dropping past 15.
Okay.
Okay. So you think he's off the board? before
Somebody
the
out
Suns
there is
even.
just like
You got too much, yeah.
just
Right.
cuddling up to that warm bucket of potential vomit.
I mean,
potential
listen, there were a lot of people in the chat who are very excited about where Rodrigo said that he is his favorite. Michael Cook gave us the ding, ding, ding. So I could see it happening. I could see it happening. Next up on our list, do you have anything else for us?
No. we're good.
We've got Eve Missy out of Baylor. He is 7 foot with a 7'5" wingspan, averaged 10.7 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, 1.5 blocks, 0.6 steals, shooting 61.4% from the field. This guy dunks. He's got energy and seemingly a lot of upside considering he's only played 3 years of organized basketball.
Crazy.
So that's exciting. How are we feeling about Eve?
I like Eve. Solid player. Defensively, he's going to get you what you want. You know, he's going to be able to defend. He's a lob threat without a doubt. Outside of the lob threat and around the rim, not a lot to love there. Not a lot to love. So I like Eve. He's my second favorite player on this list. But yeah, I'm not.
Doesn't feel like
That's all
it.
I'm gonna say. I know that was kind of a back ass kind of fucking recommendation. He's a good player. He's a really good player. Like athletically, he's gonna hold up, and he's got an NBA ready kind of motor and body. He plays with tenacity and effort. Absolutely. If we drafted him, I'd be happy. But I just favor one other guy in the draft.
All right, so I like all these guys. This was my last guy. I had him last on my list.
Out of 5.
Out of the 5, yeah. I had him last on my list. But again, I like all 5.
After Filipowski?
Yeah. No, listen, I rate him. I had Holmes 1, had Ware 2.
Had Holmes 1?
I had Holmes. I said it when it's my favorite guy.
My problem with Holmes is that he plays too low.
Okay.
Like when he attacks the rim, everything is low. Okay.
I actually like that about him.
Oh, I don't like that.
I know what I like.
Not in the
So
NBA,
so
I
that point, to that point, I see what you're saying. I love at 6'10" how he's able to get lower to the ground. And he actually, that's what I'm saying. He's a 6'10" guy that's got feet and a body control of a guard.
But he loses his vision when he does that.
he finishes well enough for me that it doesn't bother me as much. But I do see what you're saying. I just love Ware.
When that head is down and KD's open in the corner, you think somebody's gonna get cussed out.
What did I say on the tape though? We talked about this. I said, yo, the tape shows him strong side plenty of times where you think he doesn't know where he's at because guards, you play guard. I was a point guard. My head was down a lot, but I knew where I was at. I swear tape shows me that he sees it. So I'm least worried about that. Didn't I bring that up to you? I'm sorry to go off the rails.
Also, I feel like if KD pulls you aside and reams you for that once or twice, you might learn your lesson.
I'm here, Brody. Yeah.
You might learn your lesson.
But real quick on Eve, I got him as the last guy on my list because I think he is very one-dimensional. He is a lob threat. He's physical. He's got the motor. But outside of that, offensively, I question what he's really going to bring as far as anything more than a lob threat. Again, I love his motor. If we were gauging motor and physicality, he's number one on the list. This guy reminds me, I'm going to throw a name at, if you don't believe me, just go watch some tape. This guy reminds me of a very young Bismack Biyombo. Okay, that's what I see. When I went to a game at Madison Square Garden when Bismack was with the Hornets, sat like a couple rows up from courtside. Bismack Biyombo is a fucking grown man. He had like 25 rebounds in this game. He was throwing people all over the place. He finished everything. Young Bismack Biyombo was very impressive. He gives me shades of that. I think this guy can come in. He's going to play his ass off. But I wonder when things get a little bit more tight and in the half court and things matter a little more, can you completely take that out of his game? So that's my thing.
So for me, Eve, I had him number one on my list of these 5 bigs. And the reason for that is I feel like similar to where he's going to be a project, similar to where he is one of the best screen setting, rim running. I think he's the best screen setting and rim running big in this draft. Like if you watch even like 2 minutes of his best highlights from last year, it's all of him elevating and dunking on people and then flexing and banging his head and yelling in their face about it. He brings a passion to the game that is just kind of infectious, and maybe I'm a sucker for that type of thing, but he also took a whopping 71% of his shots around the rim and made 72% of them. So he's a great finisher. And even though he's only been playing organized ball for 3 years, there were some flashes of like a face-up game. It's not anything that I think is translatable to the NBA level right now, but there were some examples of him facing up, putting the ball on the floor, closing that distance, and finishing pretty well with a couple of different moves, which I was kind of shocked going into the exercise knowing he had only played 3 years of organized ball. Pretty impressive. He's young. He just turned 20 in May, just like Ware. The one difference is that Ware has a much bigger head start on being a three-point shooter. I don't think Missy is that. And he does need to get stronger. He needs to stay out of foul trouble because he did get in foul trouble. But defensively is where Missy stands out to me. He is a guy that is going to be able to, I think, at the next level, be in any coverage, whether it's drop coverage, whether he's blitzing, whether he's switching. I think he has the best chance of being able to execute any defensive coverage because this is a guy that grew up in Cameroon playing soccer. And we've seen multiple NBA guys come to the league after growing up playing soccer. They have great footwork. They're laterally very quick. And that kind of held up on film watching him. So Sam Vecini of The Athletic compared elements of his game to Clint Capella, only if Clint Capella could actually switch onto the perimeter, which for me is like, that's the one big weakness with Capella outside of offensively, that type of stuff. So he's tantalizing to me. I don't know if he'll fall this far. I don't know if Ware will fall this far. But if either of those two are on the board at 22, it would be hard for me personally to pass up on them.
Okay. And I think one of the things that is, I don't know about you guys, since it feels like it's been 100 years since we've cared about the draft, reminding ourselves that pretty much anybody we take is going to have a learning curve.
Yes.
They're going to need time to develop. The Suns organization as a whole is going to have to put some emphasis into them to give them that opportunity to develop, whether that's in the G League, because obviously when you have a team who's trying to win championships, you don't get the opportunity as much. We saw that with Sticks as well.
Yeah.
But now there is a G League team that's going to be really helpful to help some of these younger guys develop. And if we want to get younger, a little more youthful, we're going to have to put up with some shenanigans from the kids every once in a while when they do get an opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Doing that word.
Like these guys are going to piss you off at some point in time. You got to remember they're rookies.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've given the ropes to a rookie.
Shout out to G because we talked about this yesterday. I love the guys you narrowed down here. And this exercise is pretty cool because you get all kind of different dynamics. Like if you want the steady Eddie, I'm gonna come to work, I'm just gonna be a pro and I'm gonna do the job. You go Filipowski. Like that's where you go. That guy's smart. He plays basketball. He knows how to do it. If you want, for me, this is my opinion. If you want that guy,
Till the ISO him.
huh? Today, okay. Today, ISO.
Just cook his ass like a pig.
If you want a guy that I think of those five, again, he's number one on my board for a reason. If you want a guy that I think translates to this new era of basketball, the era of basketball where the big has to create, has to be able to shoot a three, has to have a little bounce, has to have a little shit in his bag. That's where Durant Holmes excites me. And then you got Eve and you got Ware that have like crazy off the charts potential with their wingspan, with their youth. Eve playing 3 years blows my mind. When I was watching his film, it was blowing my mind. And to Gerald's point, I'm glad you mentioned that. The soccer part of it can't be underrated. I mean, when I watch him, you can tell. You're like, this fucking guy definitely plays soccer. And I attribute the motor to that. Because when you're playing soccer, you're always moving around. But when you look at him defensively, it's like, holy crap, this guy, and he still has a lot of room to learn. So it's exciting, man. These guys can all hoop, and you're going to have your own dynamics. But I think if you end up with any of these guys, you're in a better position. No? You don't think so?
So you're not in on...
He don't like Flip.
Oh, you don't like Flip.
Oh, just Flip.
I can get behind that. Okay, you're right. Remove Flip, because I'm really not with Flip.
We'd be
So
looking,
no, that's
we'd be
true.
looking to flip at the trade deadline.
I actually agree with Saul. I take that back. If Flip doesn't move the needle for me, everyone else does.
I don't
but
think
he
Flip
does.
is even going to be there at 22.
He won't. Yeah, he won't. He's going to
Most
go
of
high.
the projections have
He's
him
going to
in
go
the
like
mid-teens.
11, 12, yeah.
Somebody loves themselves a project like that.
I don't think he's a project. I think he's one of the more NBA ready
Finished
guys. But
product,
his
yeah.
I think he is almost exactly like no shade whatsoever. But I do feel I look at Frank Kaminsky every single time I look at him, and are you looking for a guy that's whose potential might be able to reach a higher level, or do you just want to fill in the gap kind of player that's going to get you from one draft to the next?
Yeah,
you got to make that decision.
I guess
and I think the
question
Suns are
is,
not really looking for that.
Does he bring the same Kaminsky Cove type of energy? Because that'll determine everything.
I mean, every Duke guy's kind of the same. They all kind of got a little asshole in them. You know what I mean? Like he plays with a little bit of a chip and a little bit of an edge.
Yeah, he does.
He does. Yeah, but that's also why he gets in a lot of foul trouble, because sometimes he can't manage his own emotions.
Rodrigo, swap Ware and Holmes, and I'm right there with you, bro.
Rodrigo said his top 5 is Ware, Holmes, Missy, Edie, and then Flip.
Yeah, just switch them top two. Me, you got the same. That's how I rank.
And
them.
your top is Ware, right?
You like Ware?
No,
You said?
no.
I thought you said Khalil Ware.
Oh yeah,
was your
no,
top.
you're right. You're right. I was thinking Holmes. Yeah. Mine's Ware, and then I'm gonna go with Edie.
Okay.
And then Missy.
Ooh,
and then,
you got Edie second?
and then Holmes, and then Kyle.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I would have put Edie higher if I thought he'd still be there. But I think the Pelicans are right before us at 21, and they're a team that desperately needs a big. So if there is a big on our radar that's coming when the Pelicans are on the board, just bear that in mind, because they might steal him out from under us.
That's true.
All right. Well, don't forget,
Charlotte
everyone.
is gonna take Flip.
Huh?
1,000,000% Charlotte.
Charlotte. Yeah.
Come on. Full circle, baby.
1,000,000%,
Full
bro.
circle. I love Frank.
1,000,000%.
Frank was a good bench player, absolutely. But we're not looking for a bench player. We're looking at somebody that could potentially be a starting power forward, maybe even replace Nurk at center at some point, right?
Yeah.
So is Flip your guy?
No.
Sorry, Flip.
Watch him be an all-star.
Oh, no.
That would be
Year one, rookie of the year.
That would
Don't
be
clip
fucked
this.
up.
Don't clip this.
We would
And
never
then
let
Gerald's
that
gonna come
down.
back and be like,
Oh, Gerald would
No, I'm
be
not.
every draft
Look,
prospect.
I can
every
promise
draft
you.
outlet
I can
said
promise
that he
you.
was clearly the pick.
I can promise you, I don't think Kyle Filipowski is a star.
Of course, Espo in the chat says my top 5 is Filipowski,
Of course,
and
Espo.
Filipowski.
He just wants a new best
He
friend.
does. He wants a new BFF.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining
What
us.
would we call it?
What?
We had Kaminsky Cove. What would we call it, Espo?
Flip something. What's something with an F?
Filipowski.
Filipowski.
Is there an F word? That
There
has
is a
something to
ski
do
at the
with
end, so
water?
that's where we at with it. Ski.
Oh no. Filipowski Farm? We do a
No,
farm?
it has to be
farm.
water related,
Does
doesn't
it?
it?
Does it? Why?
Because it was Kaminsky Cove.
Landale Landing wasn't.
Oh, I
isn't
guess
water.
that wasn't water. Farm. I don't
A
like
fjord.
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 That
What
sounds
is
like
that?
a word that Espa would love. So
It's a
that's probably
fjord,
what
yeah.
it needs to be.
FJ.
It's a long, narrow,
right?
deep inlet in the sea between high cliffs, as in Norway or
Is
Iceland.
it spelled FJEURD?
FJORD.
Oh, FJORD.
Nice.
Filipowski Fjord. We got it.
Let's go.
We did it. It's
Okay, now I'm on board. Print the shirts.
On board with the fjord.
On board with the fjord.
Okay.
Y'all are
Espa
crazy,
said
man.
Philip Jetski. Okay. Dagoon said Philip Nation. Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Flip
Yeah.
Flip Nation.
Michael said Filiberto's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Filipowski Pub from Lucas. That's not a bad one. I mean, listen, I'm not mad at that
Oh
one.
shit! This guy's coming here
I guess
now.
field
man.
would have been
Field,
more basic.
Flip Falls. There's so many options. I'm
Flip-
telling you, we could have so
Flip
much
Falls.
fun.
Yeah. Oh, Flip Falls.
I like
Yes.
Flip Falls.
Flip Falls. I
Yeah,
like that.
We
that
could
one.
have
That was
a
cool.
ton of fun with this one. I'm just
And
saying.
then the truth. This draft sucked.
Glad you enjoyed the exercise.
Oh shit!
If you
I
guys,
just like the fact that it's not plural.
I
This
know.
draft sucked.
Yeah.
if you guys want to dive deeper into these guys, again, head on over to gophnx.com and read Gerald's article. Thank you all again for joining us. If you're here on YouTube, don't forget to hit that thumbs up
Please.
button. We appreciate it. It helps us out.
We have 30 people
A
that hate
lot.
us.
Also, if you're listening wherever you get your podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. And of course, you can give the show a follow on social at PHNX_Suns. You can also follow me at Lindsay Smith AZ. You can follow Saul_Bookman. You can follow Flex at Flex from Jersey. And you can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourget. Any takers? Who wants to take us home? Anybody?
Let's hope that Kyle doesn't fall to number 22 because then we're heading to Flip Falls.
Oh,
We all silly like the mayor.